All right, welcome back to the Recreate Meaning podcast. After a short break to gather information and to figure out show notes, we are back with Aaron and Will, and today we're talking about a topic I have no idea about, and I'll pass it away to Aaron to take us away today.
Well, about those show notes, I got a few things I've been sketching down, but God, it's been a crazy few weeks. So I think we should probably just talk about everything that's happened because it's been wild.
Mm,
So the main thing, like the reason we took a break was because I was in the process of settling on a farm, and that in itself is stressful.
mm.
And it ended up being that it dominated every aspect of my life for a little bit. Since then, we settled on the farm. We now have it. So we've been trying to spend time out on the land, and God, we brought a very rundown place that has a lot of problems,
Mm.
and then that was dominating my time and energy. And now we're back, and now now we can do the podcast again because it's somewhat under control.
Get those basic necessities online out in the land and get some money flow happening.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like it's so damn. Oh God, it's like here's the thing: you can afford to buy. You can afford to buy certain properties that you'd think would be unaffordable if you sacrifice heavily.
Mm.
And goddamn, like you know what I mean? Like you got to be so resourceful to make it work. But after
Depends
a few
on.
weeks of it,
I was just about to say, depends on how much you want it. Because if you want it, then you'll sacrifice pretty much anything to get it.
yeah, exactly right.
Mm.
Um, so I think maybe I should lay out. I don't know. God, there's a lot of things to lay out. We've spoke about the coming economic troubles
Mm.
that sort of seem to be brewing, and it's hard to kind of figure out how it's gonna be a good economy for people in the future in regards to say food prices.
Mm.
Like food prices have been going up. I've been worried about this for quite a while now, and it's really starting to hit. And it's almost scary because the prediction was food prices would go up, but then to see it hit and to see how hard it's hitting and that it's only just sort of ramping up, like that's pretty scary.
Yeah. It's. I was talking about this the other day. It's like my regular steak that I buy from the butchers, that is like a medium to high quality steak, is now the same price as the economy version of that steak. Which I don't like economy version steak because it's not grass fed, etc., etc. Many, many reasons. But it's like I have to pay an extra $100 a month just to get my steak, which doesn't seem like a lot. But when you buy in a monthly package like me, that's like an extra $400 to the food bill. Like,
Yeah. Oh no, it does seem like a lot, really. Like
yeah,
$100. That's so much money.
mm.
Like,
Just to eat what you want, you know.
yeah. Well, that's it. We've had to do the same thing. We've had to cut back on a lot of food as well as lower the quality.
Mm.
Um, um, yeah, it's kind of an annoying thing to become the owner of a farm, but then have to cut back on your food expenses before you can actually farm anything. Is that's a little bit of a hassle, but
Mm.
it's been all right. Like we get eggs from the chickens and we get some stuff from the garden here and there, and I think we're avoiding the worst of it at the moment. But
Mm.
like I even had to find a way to like lower my chicken feed costs and stuff like that, just because every dollar counts at the moment. And God, the sacrifices to move forward in the current economic climate, they're getting to, I don't know, I would say legitimate hardship.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah, it can be on par
I'm,
with
I'm
that.
still enjoying it.
It's a good sacrifice and a good slug, you know. What's it called?
Mm.
If you would chuck one, I guess, take one shot at the industry and why the prices have gone up so much, what would you put your finger on would be the first cause of it? Like if you
Oh, it's
could.
just money printing.
Yep.
We've decoupled the money supply from productivity There's two things that become unrelated. They're not even, and it's just it's kind of like we're living in a time where if the economy was a fire, someone's throwing gasoline on it,
Mm.
and we're living with the repercussions of that. And like, well, when you light a fire, you need, what is it? It's like oxygen, fuel. Okay. Oh, and a spark. That's what they
Yeah.
say. Yeah. And it's like, there was a fire and someone threw a bunch of gasoline on it. But then, if you ever do that with a fire, it's quite a fun experiment. You can chuck on highly flammable fuels, and your fire will actually burn down
Mm.
faster because you're burning through the fuel quicker. Um, and that's essentially what the money printing does, is it makes everything flare up for a very short time, but then we kind of live in this, I don't know, the fuel that should be burning isn't burning.
Mm.
And I don't know, it's just a hassle. Like, instead of being in this balance, we just live in this, I don't know, really weird economy where nothing's moving the way it should.
Mm. And we've been talking on camera and off camera about this for a while, about dumping milk, dumping pork, and dumping all these fucking resources just because people are off work, etc., etc. It's
Yeah.
it's all the stuff that I guess no one really thinks about until it matters, when it's coming out of your pocket at
Mm,
$100 a month.
yeah, exactly right. And there's a lot of products where the from production to actually reaching the stores, it can be quite a long time. And, a big loss in the production can take a while to affect consumers.
Mm.
And I think we're starting to see some of those while simultaneously there's new ones forming. And I think it's hard for people to understand what's going on, because if there was a massive shortage of milk 2 years ago in one part of the world and it altered the dynamics of that market, like there's products like milk solids and there's cheeses and stuff like that that take time
Mm.
to sort of show up on the shelves. Um, you can miss those price fluctuations for a year, but then when you finally see them, there can be other things going on, such as Russia and Ukraine, and you can see the price fluctuation and you can see what's actually happening at the moment, and you can conflate the two, when really it's just the effect of something that happened, a couple years ago. And it's all very confusing at this point, and I've given up trying to track it. I think it's just far better to become as local as possible at the moment, produce as much of what you need for yourself as possible, and just, I don't know, just stay afloat. Like,
Yeah, become self-sufficient. It's also the thing of like the it reminds me of the narrative fallacy, where you put like two and two together when it's not actually the cause of the problem. It's
yeah,
it's like the fact that stuff is happening in the world doesn't necessarily mean that it's causing issues for you locally. And to become self-sufficient is quite, I would say, quite weird these days, because the thing that comes to mind when you say that is like having your own property versus renting a property. Is like, if you rent a property, which is the current situation that I'm in right now, you can't have a veggie garden, you can't have chickens, you can't have this, you can't have that, and it's like it's even harder to be self-sufficient. So
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
the economy doesn't set you up to be able to do anything self-sufficient wise that is going to be useful without
There
having
is
great
some,
difficulty.
yeah, there's some major opportunity there, as well as, like, a lot of the times when people are renting, even if their landlord said, yeah, chuck in a veggie garden, there's always the real estate agent problem, where my tenant in my property, he could say, I want to paint, and the real estate, I don't know if they would say no or if they would ask me, but he'd have to talk to the real estate, and for the real estate, any request is a hassle. Whereas if he had my number, which he doesn't, because I don't know, it's all handled by the real estate. Like,
Mm.
I'm not gonna break out of the normal way of doing things on my first property.
Yeah, I know,
but
right?
but if he was to message me and said, I want to paint and I'll do a good job of it and all that, I'd probably just say yes.
Mm.
And then even more likely, if he was a painter or if he could show me that he had done it before or something like that, I'd be thrilled to get that message.
Yeah.
And same if you're renting out a house and someone said, "Can I put a veggie garden in?" most of the time you'd be thrilled. But
Hmm.
I think people don't bother asking real estates because real estates are a hassle to sort of talk to, and maybe there's a lot of potential being just left unused because people don't want to talk to bureaucrats.
Yeah, I get you. It's also the same on the other side of the spectrum as well. Like, I don't know. For me, with my property, I tried to get in contact with the real estate to ask my tenant a question about the future of the next lease, and that was impossible. And I'm the one with the having the service.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're worried you're going to cut them out the deal. That's
Yeah,
one of the things they're very worried about.
it's really annoying.
Yeah. If a real estate's selling a property and you contact the owner and say, well, why don't we do the deal and cut the real estate out, you can be taken to court,
Mm,
especially if the real estate's gone to the trouble of advertising the property and things like that because they have provided a service.
mm.
Um, yeah, they're very worried about being cut out of deals.
I guess it's a where's my piece of the pie thing, and it's like it's got to be fair.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's it. Like if you ask a real estate to sell your place and then cut them out the deal, they're not going to be happy.
Nah, and everyone wants their piece. So what
Yeah, that's
else?
it. We looked into selling a place, and apparently it's 12 grand to sell a place,
Hmm,
which is a little bit annoying because that would sort of eat into the profit considerably at this point.
hmm. Plus,
So yeah,
you need that 12 grand at the moment. Like
yeah, I do. Yeah,
if you're saving money on chicken feed and you try and sell a property and they take 12 grand, it's like that's saving the chicken feed seems a bit a bit
yeah,
like a silly thing considering someone's going to take like 10% of your property just off the top.
yeah, yeah. It's not much fun, but oh well. In the long run, it will all work out. It'll all be sweet. I just got to wait till 12 grand, such a small amount of money in regards to the sale, that I'm happy to pay it.
Mm. Makes things a little bit more difficult in the short term.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I should probably why I'm so cash hungry at the moment. We brought 22 acres. The 22 acres has a shack on it. The shack is in all sorts of trouble, and just about every fix requires more money than I have. Like, I'm pretty much stuck with bodgy solutions and physical labor until I get a decent chunk of money. And it's not so bad. It's actually quite enjoyable. But like one of the things I did was I dug a compost toilet
Mm.
because there's a toilet in the shack, but the drainage for the toilet, I guess you call it, where the actual waste comes out, just flowed out of a pipe on the side of the house. It's never been connected to like a septic tank or anything like that, which is kind of amazing because someone installed a toilet and didn't hook it up to anything.
That's so weird. It's almost like they
Yeah.
put it there just to satisfy the ladies or something. Like it's not it
Yeah,
doesn't actually do its job. It's just like, yeah,
yeah.
you can sit on the toilet.
Yeah. Um,
Oh my
so
fucking god. That's awful. Hmm.
yeah, so it's a bit of a problem there, but I dug a not a hole for a septic tank because at the moment I just gotta move on a lot of these jobs. So I dug a hole for what they call a compost toilet and set that up, and it should be fully operational and it should work as intended. But like that's not that's not my ideal long term solution. Like I had to run some pipe, a little bit of a way, sort of towards the field, and then dig a deep hole, and then everything should drop in the hole, and the hole should be deep enough, and I should have the right combination of things that whatever goes into the hole should break down and turn into soil. But that's just one thing that we got to do. Like there's no running water to the house, like well to the shack. It's not really fair to call it a house. So I gotta solve that problem. I do have
Hmm.
tank water, which is great, but the tank water and the house water aren't the same.
Mm.
The house the house is the house is fed by a tank which is nowhere near the house that doesn't have any rainwater collection whatsoever. And then there's a rainwater tank connected to the house which just has like a garden hose style tap. Um and just a whole heap of things like that, which
Doesn't make
you know,
sense.
yeah, it's a little bit of like a inconvenience on some things, but I mean that's obviously what we were going to be in for. But just getting there, seeing like the list of everything that needed fixing and then getting to it has been there's been a real demand on my time and energy.
Oh, you didn't buy the land for the shack. You bought the land for the land, you know? And
Yeah, I had this idea that the land would be a really good investment, and then when we got the shack as well, I thought that'll make a good little sort of like base of operations initially, because we're still a couple years off putting a house on it, and it's looking like the shack it's got smoke damage. There's been a fire inside of it that's gone wrong. There's termites. It's like, it's messy, it's grimy, it's dusty. It doesn't have running water. It doesn't have electricity. It doesn't seem to have ventilation for the fireplace, which is just unheard of.
yeah,
um,
it's like
it's full of spiders. It's the night I slept in there, the second night, a rat tried to eat my foot in the middle of the night. There's
but
feral cats that have made themselves at home there, which is actually it suits me because of the rat problem temporarily.
the true outback
Yeah,
experience, you know?
there's a whole heap of things. I'm covered in all sorts of bites and itchy marks still, and I've only been out there 4 days over the last 2 weeks. Like,
it's a it's a it's a goal for long term, you know?
yeah, and that's it. I just gotta get to work on it, and so long as I keep working at the rate I'm working, within a year it's gonna be amazing. But
A butterfly flew past your camera. As you said, I've only been here 4 days out of the 2 weeks. Like a butterfly, like flew past. I was like, oh, I was like, that's
I got
pretty.
I got tons of animals with me at the moment.
Hmm.
Hey, the chicken. This
Beautiful.
chicken, she's been liking because we cut down on the chicken feed by giving her fermented oats.
Hmm.
She goes crazy for them, which is so good.
It's good to see that the cutting costs has actually improved the chicken's happiness, I guess.
Yeah. Was she gonna do it? Hell yeah. Did you see it?
No, I
I couldn't
didn't.
see the camera when I did it. Oh
No.
well, doesn't matter. I got another animal here. Teddy. Come on.
It must be weird not focusing so much on the economics these days.
Yeah, it's been puppy.
Look, new Teddy. And that's your farm dog, isn't it? Going to be the farm
Yeah,
dog.
yeah, yeah. He's our choice for a farm dog up front.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've not been focusing on economics, but I've been kind of in it.
Yeah.
Like there's things that I'm doing where I'm using economics, but they're actual physical labor jobs.
Oh,
Like one of the things I'm doing on the farm is I'll have to walk like 150 meters here and there because I got no equipment. The sale took more money than we hoped. We hoped to start with a tractor, and we don't have that at the moment.
hmm.
We also don't have a ute, which is a bit of a problem. But like one thing, I had to get all the firewood, and I've got my firewood sorted for the next few trips out. Had to do it all by hand, but where I've got trees that have fallen, which are great for firewood, I've got very, very long grass.
Hmm.
So, like anyone in Australia knows not to just trudge through long grass like in the
Get
countryside.
that's death waiting for you.
Yeah, yeah, you fucking die. And I've had that problem. So I've been like, I don't have a tractor to cut the grass, and you can't mow this. This is not regular grass. This is stuff that it's so long that it will actually destroy your lawnmower if you try to low over it. Like it's just too tall.
Yeah.
Um, and same with a whippersnipper. Like the base of the grass is so thick that you can't actually whippersnip through it. It's like trying to whippersnip through like a small shrub. Like
Hmm.
it's the wrong tool for the job. So I've been clearing pathways through the field with a hedge trimmer
Hmm.
so that I can get access to the wood that I need for the upcoming trips, because currently getting firewood has been taking up so much of my time, it's been interfering with the other productivity, so I decided to just do it all at once. So I've been clearing pathways through the field to get to these down trees, and then, like, when I get there, I got to chop them up. And then what I do, because I don't have any vehicle that can get there, I wrap up the logs that I chop with rope, then I carry them back to the house, and I go like back and forwards.
Hmm.
But as I walk out, I'll find jobs that I need to do. So my rule is, like, if you go loaded, you got to come back loaded. So I'm bringing tools out to the field so that I can pick up, get whatever I need done out there, whether it's the axe or the hedge trimmer, or
Or
I don't
both.
know, whatever particular thing I'm carrying. And then I'm bringing, these roped up bundles of logs back with me. And then I'm heading out to the field again. But like on the way, there'll be a place where I need a hole, or in particular, so I'm bringing like digging equipment, and I'm going like back and forwards doing manual labor, just trying to like stack multiple jobs at the same time so that I'm not walking 150 meters without my hands full.
Yeah. Min-maxing your time because you've only got 2 days out there, or a fortnight, or whatever it is at the moment.
Yeah, it should be 2 days a week for a little while now.
Hmm.
Um, I will set up to get some money. I want to do like I don't know, maybe closer to spring. I want to do some time out there for a few weeks,
Hmm.
because I got to plant a lot of trees. That's going to be, and spring's a good time to plant trees.
You got to get set up for the next coming year. It's like this. These are the kind of things that 5-year plans on a land, not rather than like 6-9 months.
Yeah, exactly. Um,
You'll be playing the
oh,
exponential game for like years to come.
I think what's this? This is my biggest problem at the moment. Not my biggest problem.
One of the ones that is most annoying. Yeah.
He's not going to do it, and I don't want to encourage him. He's been chasing the chickens.
Yeah.
Apparently, they when they bred, he's a poodle cross cavalier.
Hmm.
The cavalier's a lap dog. It'll sit on your lap and keep you warm when you're on a carriage ride. That's what they bred it for, apparently.
Wow.
And then the poodle, it's actually a hunting dog, which, yeah, I mean, they don't seem like hunting dogs, I guess. But if you ever get bit by one, you can tell that they like to bite.
Yeah.
Um, but the poodle, they were like say waterfowl hunting dog, where like you shoot the bird and the dog goes and gets it.
Yeah.
Or that's not quite right. You send the dog out, he flushes the birds out, you shoot one, he picks it up, he brings it back.
Yeah.
Which isn't really the behavior you want in the backyard with the chickens.
Yeah. You don't want him to be chasing and biting them.
So he finds them if he finds them in like behind the bush or whatever, he goes and flushes them out. And I don't
Hmm.
know if it's just because that's fun to do, or it's because it's an instinct thing, but we really got to stop doing that.
You got some weird problems, man. I guess not weird for farmers, but weird for like suburban people.
Yeah, definitely weird for this context.
Hmm. I hear
Um,
On that
yeah,
note, I hear that you've been using the app to solve a lot of these problems.
I have. Yeah, this is the best thing, is
Hmm.
because I spent last year developing Unify. I now get to use it, and a lot of the problems that I'm solving using the app are that, like, they're literally, they're catastrophic failure points that I'm addressing.
Hmm.
Like, one thing is 7 days a week in boots at the moment. That is bad on the feet.
Hmm.
So there's all these little times in the day when I can get my feet aired out and like get some healing done and stuff like that. And I was able to use Unify because I started identifying this problem and, come up with a reasonable solution to it and all that.
Mm.
But if I'm able to continue to operate in such a way where, one, my feet, and two, my lower back, that's my other biggest physical problem I've solved with Unify at the moment. I've got myself a comfy camp chair, which is going to allow me to not have my lower back destroyed for
Yeah.
these 2 days a week. Being able to solve these problems is gonna keep me in the game, and this is a game that I got to stay in for like really several years at this point. Otherwise, it's probably not going to be worth my while to have pursued it.
Mm.
Um, so anybody who wants to do anything that's a long-term thing, like I just recommend unify.recreatemeaning.com. Find these problems and solve them, because you don't want to have an inkling of some catastrophic thing brewing and proceed in such a way that you end up getting, oh god, just knocked out of the game, and you got to go back to the beginning, and it's no fun living like that.
Yeah, you don't want to be put in a position where you get knocked out and your business falls apart. It's
Yeah.
it's legitimately helpful to build awareness about these things. And that's exactly what the app is meant to do. And then to apply like thought through solutions. Good to hear that
Yeah.
you're benefiting from it as the maker,
Yeah, I'm very happy about that.
Mm.
Um, it's funny because we've been a little slow on gaining users, which it's completely not unexpected in the tech industry.
Mm.
Um, kids, I think we just lack the sophistication on the marketing that the people who get very quick success, they kind of have, or maybe that little lightning bolt moment. We're still waiting for that to hit, but I'm still just so confident that the process that the app puts you through is beneficial.
Yeah, I would agree. It's just the fact that getting anything into the market at the moment in a way that's sellable, that's actually like, because it's genuinely beneficial, trying to sell it to someone is not even really the right words to use there. It's like to offer the product for a minimal cost to help
Here we go.
benefit someone's life.
Look at this. See what he's doing?
Yeah.
All right, click the button, but I just
Just stressing the chickens out. But yeah, it's like
we want eggs from her.
he's like, I'm doing my job though. Doing my
Yeah,
job.
yeah,
Don't take away my job.
leave her alone.
But yeah, it's weird because it's like we don't know anyone in the big tech industries to be able to sell, not sell, but like to offer this product to anyone. And
Yeah, I will get there.
yeah, we hope to put it into perspective from our own stories and our own times using it, and also the process of going through hardship and building ideas as a standpoint for the fact that this thing has probably helped us out of suicide.
Remember, you were saying yesterday when we were talking off camera, there was a situation where you've done a few nice things many years ago, and it's ended up benefiting you today in an unexpected way.
Mm.
And like that's the kind of thing the app helps set up.
Which is, I think it's lacking a lot these days for people in general. And it's like, by the way, if people want to know what those favors were, was like I was nice to people, I stuck by people, and I trusted on their word a lot of the time. And now I'm benefiting from it because they're my major supporters over on twitch.tv/ Goose Game Gaming on my other entertainment project. But it's like having the difference between having 5 friends that support you and having no one on that platform is massive. But using something like Unify to identify how to navigate through situations that would literally cause people to explode. I'm not even joking, like probably like divorce level toxic situations that you have to navigate through. It's like, and having good like outcomes at the end. Like I got It's that's a miracle in itself, and I do have to put the Unify process at the helm of that, because some of those situations were not situations you would normally get through just by brute forcing it with thinking.
Yeah, yeah. That's always so good when you can get through something that could have wiped you back to zero, and instead you get to maintain, like 4 years of hard work rather than losing it. Like, oh man.
Which it happens all the time, though. It's like, if people are unaware, like, that shit happens all the time. It's
And there's a thing where it's like, when you've got money invested, the yearly returns that you gain on your money can be more important than your entire career.
Hmm.
Um, but if you never reach the point where you can get a substantial amount of money invested, because there keeps on being tragedy after tragedy that knocks you back to zero, you you don't get to benefit from that, which is tragic. And you sort of, just can't help but feel that some people that get trapped in like the tragedy cycle, because of that, get trapped into like a poverty trap where they become hyper focused on their careers. But if their careers are such that they're constantly dealing with tragedy, and maybe they're not working as effectively as they otherwise could, they're probably not careers that are even that fulfilling. And because of that, you become kind of insecure and sensitive to every little slight and disrespect that you feel that you've suffered, and it can just make you resentful and bitter. And it's a tragedy.
it's absolutely awful too. Not only to experience that, but to like have to put up with living a life that you don't want to live. It's weird because you got to meet it in the middle. You know, it's like you got to do something productive that's useful for the economy, that's beneficial, and you've also got to have time for yourself to do stuff that you want, and then also avoid tragedy and also do investments so that way when it comes time for your body to start giving out, you've got money and you're able to travel and do all this other shit. And it's like, none of it's clear, no one talks about it at all. Like, some people talk about it, but they're just like, you know what, just get 100K, just get 100K and just do something with that fucking 100K. And you take what you get, you go fucking put everything on fucking black. You're like, you
Yeah,
fucking, it's like all this alpha male bullshit. It's like, fuck off. That doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like, no one's gonna have just 100K.
it doesn't work for as many people or more people than it worked for.
Yeah. And it's like,
And I like the idea, because I'm kind of being like, there's a weird thing at the moment where I've exposed myself to a lot of risk, and the risk that I've knowingly sort of like exposed myself to, I feel like I have enough competence there to navigate it. Fingers crossed. Um, but then places where I'm not sure, I've protected myself massively.
mm,
I've spent a lot of time and energy making sure that when something unexpected can happen, we're going to be prepared for it. Um, I had a joke where when I bring tools out to the farm, I bring the tools I know I need, and then there's tools that can be used instead of the tools that I know I need that aren't as good. I leave them at home, and then I bring the tools that I don't know I need, and I kind of I've got this weird assortment of my best tools and my weird shit. And
in your defense, though, I have seen you pull off some remarkable shit with like a screwdriver. So back to that resourcefulness.
yeah, I saw a quote the other day where someone said, what was it? May you be sober and thrifty, something like that. And I just thought it was pretty good. Um,
Sober and thrifty. That seems like it's way more useful for the 1920s.
or maybe. um,
Yeah, like, I guess being able to bring random assortments of stuff out to a land where the unexpected is around every corner is probably more beneficial than having two of the same hedge trimmer. I guess it depends
Yeah,
on the
well, that's
situation.
it. Yeah. Um, and like I didn't think of myself as being someone who would head out there and on the first couple weekends be trimming hedges. So I
Hmm.
brought the hedge trimmer because I didn't think I'd need it. And then it ended up being that the whippersnipper that I knew I'd need was no good.
Fucking hell. You'd never pick it.
Yeah, yeah, there's dumb assortment of God, just situational things.
But like,
It's also funny too, like the skills that I brought along because there was a thing where in a job when I had a job that I had when I was 17 through 19, what we used to do is we used to have to throw ropes a lot. And I got quite good at it. Like I reckon I could throw a rope better than I can throw a ball. Like it's just, it's a
yeah.
weird thing. But
And
yeah,
he's
I'm all
off.
good.
I was gonna say,
No.
and he's off.
Um but what happened on the weekend was we got these trees around the shack, and the trees have these big dead branches, and there's termites in the area which are eating the dead branches. What we've got is these several 100-kilo branches overhanging driveways, walkways, stuff like that.
Hmm.
That's a recipe for someone dying.
Yeah.
So
Literally guillotines out in the middle of the field.
yeah. So what I was doing was I tied a stick around a rope, then I was throwing the stick with the rope over the branches to like, where I could see a weak point, and the stick was just wrapping itself around the rope. Then I was able to give a good pull and the branches would come crashing down. Big branches would drop. They'd hit the ground with a fair bit of force, get knocked up into, many pieces. And then I was able to go through with my axe and make it into like good
Firewood.
sized pieces of wood for the fire.
Hmm.
Yeah, and put it with the rest of the firewood. And I was walking around doing these jobs with like, I swing an axe like I swing a sledgehammer because I used to swing a sledgehammer at that same job. And now I'm throwing ropes, and there's all this kind of weird skills I'm bringing out there, which I learned. And at the time I learned them, I didn't really think I'd use them. I don't know, the way I'm using them now. I'm just
Hmm.
gonna have to let the dog in. He's
That's
telling me
okay.
he wants to go inside.
It's remarkable that skills like that seem to fluctuate out. It's one of the things that comes to mind for me with viewers and stuff like that is like being running the podcast, doing entertainment online is not the same as customer service, but um, working working at a university and talking to people is not the same as working in hospitality, which having those skill sets not overlap kind of confused me. I was just saying that had like trying to be entertaining on Twitch or trying to run the podcast
Yeah, I
here
could hear you.
is
I could
not
hear
okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, I was just saying it's like it's weird that that and customer service doesn't overlap, but it's like talking to people at university and like networking with people at university does overlap with being entertaining. It's really weird that the skill sets there don't apply, but also apply in different ways. It's You'd be surprised how trivial like a task can seem, but then when it comes to it, it actually might benefit you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, yeah. It's a really good thing that like one of the things I've been seeing a lot of after it's very funny after spending 10 years in hospitality industry, thinking that maybe I was on the wrong path in a certain. I mean, there's more prestigious careers. Um, After spending 10 years in the hospitality industry, I'm reading books on farming, and everybody in the farming industry is complaining about having to sell their products to wholesalers who essentially they have so much power over the negotiation that you're constantly forced to sell your products at not the price you want, but at the price that your most efficient neighbor can sell theirs for.
Hmm.
You run into all sorts of problems here. Um, they're constantly complaining about these middlemen, And then they're saying if they could get their hands on a food truck or a restaurant that they could supply, they reckon they could make a lot more money. But a lot of the time, these guys lack the hospitality skills, which, if you got what it takes to be a successful farmer, you could probably become successful in hospitality. But to do both simultaneously is obviously going to be very, very difficult and shouldn't be taken on lightly. But it's very funny reading these guys who I've brought their books. I'm reading what they have to say. I obviously respect them, and they're talking about, oh, if I could do this, something that I know that I can do because I've got a 10-year track record in it. It's very good as you're reading to be like, oh, there's something there where what I pursued is going to probably work out for me in a now revealed way.
Yeah, it's really, really awesome. And it's weird to see that the problems that you're going to face in the future not only apply to your current knowledge, but you might be able to break into kind of a way of working, which you talked to me about yesterday off camera, where you were like,
Yeah.
you could just buy a food truck and try things out. It's like, with the hospitality knowledge, doesn't seem so trivial and silly now.
Yeah.
Because
Now it seems like that's going to work out in my favor massively.
Yeah, plus the other thing with that is like you're talking about the fact that the wholesalers are a problem, and like we've spoken about this at work and on the podcast about how fucking annoying it is to have like in one endpoint middle people and then fucking the endpoint and be like $2 a kilo, $50 a kilo, and it's because these people in the middle are the fucking like there's so many like ups. It's like, oh, I buy it for this much and then I ship it here and then I sell it for this much and this guy buys it for this much for a profit, and it just seems like there's a lot of stages that they have to go through.
Yeah, well, that's it. They're providing a service, all these people, and what they do, if it helps get the product to the customers, they're doing something, it has value. But then if we can see a way to realistically get the product to the customer much cheaper with less hands on it, and hopefully with less hands on it, quicker, fresher, higher quality, then obviously what we would be doing would provide value, and the market will determine what the right answer is. It's really not up to anyone to decide except the customers, but I reckon I got a real fighting chance here at combining a bunch of skill sets and assets that I currently hold, and we'll see what happens.
Hopefully, once you start producing, say, some of the things you've been thinking about producing, like orchards, chickens, and stuff like that, hopefully the right people emerge along the way where you're like, okay, this person runs a food truck, I'll just get them sorted with chicken. Like hopefully that'll emerge. Because there's the lemon guy at work, which I find hilarious because he seems to just like I don't know if he's making money or not. It doesn't seem like he is, but he must be making money. Because
he seems to me like the kind of guy who could be making $4,000 a week and not even know that's a lot of money. Like,
yeah, it's like
he's so funny.
The lemon guy at work, he goes out to the farms, gets the lemons that are like that. There's a big machine that the lemons go through, and some of the time the machine just spits out lemons that are actually good, but that aren't great. It's got like an 80% the lemons are good ratio. The lemon guy drives out to the lemon farms, sorts through the lemons like by hand, and picks out the lemons that are still good, chucks them in boxes, and then ships them from fucking Toowoomba back down to Brisbane and sells them to us for $40 a carton, which is quite cheap, all things considered. Like compared to buying them from the fucking wholesales at $25 like a kilo. And like I feel like he's got to be making money because he's been doing it for like what years now.
Yeah, there's a funny thing where John doesn't remember how he got into contact with us, and we don't remember how we got into contact with him. He's just been delivering lemons as long as anyone remembers. I think that's so funny.
He popped up one day, and like he's obviously making enough of money to have a living and to have a gambling addiction.
No, I think he's on top of his gambling now. I don't know. He tells me both stories.
Well, we can't get a read on the lemon guy. We love the lemon guy. That's what we say. But
yeah,
fuck, it's like
he's so good.
It reminds me of the like the off the books kind of money that you can make, which is which like you pay a lot in taxes, which is a good thing. But you just
Very good. Everyone's favorite.
yeah, a cheeky $5,000 bill around fucking July every fucking year. But in saying that, it's like he must be making at least off the books some cash money that is useful.
Yeah, oh yeah. I don't. He does give invoices, and I think that if he was completely off the books, he wouldn't give invoices because that would just lead to trouble. I got a chicken with me again. They
Saving
just
them
sit at
from
my
the.
feet.
At least you got that personal relationship with the chickens.
Yeah, that's it. Especially these egg-laying chickens, like you, you probably wouldn't feel good about slaughtering them.
Yeah,
And
because
it's
you've
just
named
chilling with
them.
me. Yeah, yeah. No, this chicken's really good.
You
What you
know,
doing?
you know what blows me away, right? It's like with building the app, it's hard to say to someone, a 3 month subscription is this much because we think it's going to benefit you, and you can have the first month free. You have a go, but it's like someone will pay $10 a month on Twitch for a couple of emojis versus something that legitimately we think would change their lives. Which,
Yeah, it's one of the funny things where it's what the customers value you at is kind of like you kind of stuck with that. But
I'm saying this because the link is down below, and if you send an email to one of us, we will give you a free version of it to try because we genuinely think it's beneficial. If you're in a hard spot, or even if you're not in a hard spot and you just want to be more efficient, it's fucking down there. Go and have a look because it's like there's been a lot
yeah,
of time put into it, and just give it a go. I tell you, it's worth the fucking $10 emoji. It's like it's the same value. It's a at
I think it's
least.
$5 a month. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I think it's not even that much. Yeah.
Yeah.
um, it's very funny. It will come round. I reckon we'll find our market.
Yeah.
Um, there are similar products which people charge like several $100s for, and the trick there is you kind of like you get involved with the healthcare industry and the psychologists and the insurance companies, and you find something that is essentially uh you build something that's like air clad if somebody's receiving treatment for a certain mental illness or something like that, and it ends up going wrong and everyone ends up in court, something that documents the whole process and all this sort of stuff. Like, I don't know, you can build products that aren't built for the actual person using them, and you can do very well, but obviously that's not the kind of thing that we want to pursue.
Yeah.
But sometimes I wonder if it would be easier. um
Because
the expenses would be much greater. That would be one thing. So
it's 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 one of those things, right? It's like these people that are working in the psychologist field and everything like that. Yes, they genuinely want to help, but they have to cover themselves legally. And it's like it's trying to find what are we trying to sell? Not sell, I don't like the word sell. What are we trying to offer this product to satiate a need? And like that, my pitch here for the viewers is if you've gotten this far in this video and you've watched this video and you've gotten here, go and download the fucking thing, send us an email, get a fucking version
yeah.
of it, have a try, just use it, and let us know what you think because we genuinely want to make not only that better, but we want to make the content here better. And we're like, you heard Aaron, he's dying. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Aaron,
Yeah, I have tractor expenses. It's a whole
yeah,
different thing.
yeah. So it's like, not only are we trying to get our lives together, but like in our spare time, especially Aaron in his spare time, has been trying to build something that can get people to the point that he's at, even though it doesn't sound great right now, but it's what you genuinely want.
I'm like a rat tried to eat my foot the other night. Like,
like the odd person
Everybody
on,
starts out doing something. Like,
yeah. Just fucking send us a message because we've genuinely cut like I reckon out of the 30 episodes we've recorded and the 12 that have been released and the 3 that are really good, if we had a bit more time, we'd be able to make one of those a week.
oh yeah, easily, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, to put it into perspective, I think at one point, I think me and Aaron were working 50 hours a week, also trying to do this and like have a relationship and a social life. So it's like,
Well, it's not even at one point. Like for me at the moment, I did 60 hours last week.
yeah,
I did more than 60 hours, and then this week I'm on 50 again. But I'm also spending 2 days out at the farm, which, like, to run through my Friday, like I get up around 5 because I got things to take care of here. I'm at work by, you know, 10:15 usually, thereabouts. 10:15 a.m. and then get home from work, I don't know, like finish work at 8, or usually home by 8:30 at the latest. Um, at which point we load up the car, and then we got a 2.5 hour drive, and then at thereabouts 1 a.m. we get out to the shack, and then we got to set up for the night so that we can get some sleep. Which at that point I'm up at sunrise and I'm fucking working like
yeah, it's like
and it
4
doesn't
hours
have
of
to be
sleep.
days. And then I come home and then I come home and I have a couple hours and then I go to bed and then get up in the morning and it's my work week again. Like,
Yeah, it's
and a little bit of extra money would be pretty good right now, and especially if you got the Unify app in response to that, because you could use it to live the kind of life you want to live
mm.
and
And
see where that takes you.
I want to stress the point that like the content that we could create could be way better than what it currently is, but the product is still as good as it could be.
Yeah, yeah. It's
I
like doing this, buddy, like, I don't know, 80-hour weeks near consistently. And see, the thing is, I'm doing a lot of work at the moment, which some people ask me why, which is reasonable. And the reason I'm doing it is because it's worth it at the moment. And I'm setting up for a future that will be infinitely better because I've done it. Like, I'm
because
not doing all this work because I have to get by, but I could get this work done and more if people use the Unify app, and I think it would make the world a better place.
yeah,
I
and
legitimately think that.
yeah, I legitimately believe that as well, especially if you're in that place of like darkness, especially that when you're there, like it can help massively.
Well, there's a hilarious thing where everyone that we had beta test the app is doing better now than they were at the time of the beta test. And it's not clear how much of that is because of the beta test, because it was a very, very small exposure to the app. But I do know from talking to the people who participated in the beta test that the problems that they put into the app have since become resolved in one form or another in their life. And that's what the damn app's for. Like,
Yeah, it did its job, and yeah,
hmm,
just go go to go to the description, send us an email, get in touch. We're here doing this shit.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Um bit of a non-topic based episode, but more of a touching ground. Welcome back kind of episode. Get back into the
Yeah,
swing of it.
yeah, we're back. We've been busy, but we're back.
Yeah, well, it's like behind the scenes it never stops, but sometimes you run out of good things to talk about, you know? So I guess I'll wrap up.
Yep, let's do it.
Um, well, thank you from us at Recreate Meaning here. We hope you not only use the app, get this far in the video, enjoy your day, but also send us a message. We want to hear from you. We want to talk to you. We want to
Oh
address
yeah.
problems that we want to address problems you have. Plus, we also want to build things that are going to benefit you, and we want you to be able to support us in a way that's going to help you and help us and help the community as a whole. So, thank you, and I hope you have a lovely day.
Done.